Elden Ring is the kind of game that you can lose entire weeks in if you're not careful. Its scale is impressive, its style beautiful, and its gameplay incredibly punishing. Out of the box, it masterfully works its action RPG magic, invites the player into the forlorn landscape, and then presents multiple opportunities to the player to swear their heads off. What can mods add to this experience? Welcome in friends, I'm Remus Van Kozed, and in this video we're going to have a look at the overall experience of Elden Ring in its vanilla state, and then with mods. We're going to explore the variety of mods on offer, and see whether it's time to download some mods and get a new run going. Let's start off by looking at the experience of Elden Ring without mods. Elden Ring continues the From Software Souls-like tradition of weaving a mysterious environment together with a play-your-way character system, and wraps it all up with some white-knuckled battles. While previous Souls games like Demon's Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne and Sekiro all had winding worlds that felt vast, Elden Ring stands itself apart by introducing a more open world, with individual sprawling environments sprinkled throughout. In Dark Souls and Demon's Souls, you would look over ledges to see if there are new areas to explore via falling, or maybe there's an illusory wall hiding some secret treasure, or a shortcut. In Sekiro, the character's equipment and abilities allowed for vertical exploration, as well as the ability to jump over huge gaps. Elden Ring gives you a cow horse that can double jump and lets you loose an expansive fantasy world dotted with ruins, dungeons, and towers, and says, have fun. The game does an amazing job of handing you the reins and lets you explore at your own pace. While there is an overarching goal, there isn't a quest journal or a mandatory waypoint steering you towards a goal. You can progress through the game and miss entire story beats because you just didn't see it. It's a freedom that is simultaneously refreshing and, for the forgetful and easily distracted like myself, challenging. The experience will go something like this. 1 minute you'll be talking to a lady sitting by the roadside about some horrifying experience of the past. She'll exhaust her dialogue to the point of repeatedly saying something along the lines of, "Check the river, or this beeth what comes when chosen of Jonathan." You'll leave the area, come back 10 hours later and she'll be dead. But because there isn't anything around to remind you what you need to do, you'll most likely forget all about the river, and that story arc will remain a mystery until you remember to Google it or come across it in New Game Plus. Adventure aspect aside, the other huge part of Elden Ring is the combat. The game allows you to pick and choose your build based on the equipment and skills you come across in your travels, and the skill points that you assign your character. Do you want to be a naked guy who is obsessed with katanas? You got it. Do you feel like flinging purple magic rocks is more of your style? Too easy. If your character has the stats to use it, and you like the feel of it in combat, you can use that build for the entire game if you want. Souls veterans will know exactly what to expect going in, and possibly even find the first few bosses quite forgiving in terms of difficulty. There seems to be a bit more wiggle room with dodging and blocking compared to previous Souls games. I'm not sure if this is just me imagining things, but I had countless occasions where I swore I should have been hit by an enemy, but due to those sweet invulnerability frames on the dodge, everything was fine. The game is not being overly generous though, as it is just preparing for the later boss battles, where things go from a steady waltz to a capoeira fight. Thankfully though, with the new addition of the ability to summon creatures, you can buy yourself some time to get your wits about you before launching back into the fray. So that's the vanilla experience in a nutshell. And now that we've talked about that, let's get into what mods can bring to the game. In my deep dive into the modding scene of Elden Ring, I've been very impressed by the expansive nature of the mods. There is a heap on offer. So much so that I had a difficult time trying to work out how to encompass it all. But here are the categories I came up with. We got reshades, reskins, reworks, and utilities. Reshades. Elden Ring has a very distinct visual style about it. It ranges from a bit muted and melancholic to these psychotic pinks and purples and reds and golds. If color grading is your thing, or if you were just chasing the perfect light to take that profile picture of Rykard's weird little snake face, then reshades are going to be for you. Modders have done a fantastic job of making a heap of options available, some of which really add a cinematic edge to the landscapes that, at times, looks downright beautiful. While playing, I found myself searching out locations where I could test out different reshades. It was a cool little side project, while dying repeatedly. With the ability to toggle reshades on and off at whim, you can really experiment with different looks and see how you can manipulate the visual style of Elden Ring to perfectly fit what you would like. Reskins. Reskins are the replacing of character, enemy, or equipment models. The gameplay may not be changed at all, but suddenly instead of pretending that you're Goku firing Kamehamehas across the landscape, you are. The reskins allow you to carve out a unique experience that you otherwise might not have. Most skins work via straight up model replacement, which only work when you are wearing a piece of equipment or holding the weapon. This limits your equipment range by quite a bit, but luckily Elden Ring is the kind of game that can be beaten naked, so any equipment you take into it, as long as you're comfortable using, you'll be fine. These reskins range from cool passion projects to silly. Primarily the reskins are for the player model, but there is also a ton of torrent content, changing torrent from a cow horse to everything but a cow horse. Reworks. Just a quick forward note about this. While I was taking my sweet ass time getting the content together for this video, patch 1.9.1 dropped and unfortunately broke a lot of the mods that required purchasing items through a merchant or accessing items through the crafting bag. Because of this, I missed out on a lot of key areas of mods, but I did my best to try and fill in the blanks. Fingers crossed these get fixed soon. Reworks. When I say rework, I'm talking about mods that are almost acting in expansion to Elden Ring, something that takes the original gameplay elements and adds on top of them, rather than just a cosmetic layer. There are a great deal of reworks on offer for Elden Ring that really give you the opportunity to revisit and replay the game multiple times over and have different experiences. There are several reworks that I really enjoyed my time with that I absolutely recommend giving a go. In terms of overhauls, there is the Elden Ring mod powerhouse, Garden of Eyes. If you're looking for high quality reworks, then you need to check out what Garden of Eyes has on offer. These reworks range from a Harry Potter centric overhaul complete with magical broom / griffin and Harry Potter spells, to an overhaul called Broken as F***. Broken as F*** is regular Elden Ring, but you can turn into a tank or fighter jet and shoot ridiculously powered weapons. This is definitely not a mod for people who are looking for a challenge, but rather for those of us that enjoy the pleasure of launching nukes at bosses that took us hours of getting good. There is also a Sonic overhaul, which should turn your character into Sonic the Hedgehog, but even after multiple times of trying to get the mod working and reaching out on Discord, I couldn't find the armor to change my character's appearance. Still, I did my best to emulate Sonic and really enjoyed the absolute silly speed and jump that came with the overhaul.
Remember your place, newcomer.
The base Garden of Eyes overhaul acts almost like an entire expansion pack to Elden Ring. There are new and reworked weapons with unique abilities. There are new armor sets, mounts. There are new spells. There's a Let Me Solo Her boss. If I were to cover every addition in detail, this video would be like 3 times longer than it already is. There is just so much on offer in this overhaul, and there is even more being added regularly by the Garden of Eyes team, including an upcoming completely new multi-phase boss battle. Absolutely worth a look for Elden Ring fans. Outside of Garden of Eyes, there is also a boss arena overhaul that carves out the Round Table Hold and transforms it into a preparation lobby, and allows you to relive any of the boss fights from the game. NPCs are on deck to gear you up to your heart's content, hand you free runes to get the right skill level, and enhance your equipment and summons. This is not only a perfect way to practice boss fights, but also a great way to test out builds for other main game runs. One of the reworks that impressed me the most was the Seamless Co-op mode, a mode which removes the limitations of in-game co-op player summons. and allows you to freely explore and experience the game alongside friends. It is incredible. I recently ran through the game with a longtime friend on stream, and it was legitimately one of the greatest game experiences I've had.
Supersonic Racer.
Being able to hang out with a friend and move through the world searching for hidden paths, fighting massive bosses while just shooting the shit is really just a great experience. Sure, players being able to simultaneously summon ashes kind of breaks the game, and you can yo-yo bosses using player aggro, but holy crap, it's so much fun. I cannot recommend it enough, especially to people who may not have played Elden Ring before or haven't finished it. In my opinion, it is the perfect way to play Elden Ring.
That's
Dicks.
unfortunate.
Dicks.
Utilities. There are a few utilities that modders have made that I absolutely need to make a mention of. Of course, there are the usual cheat engines or hacks that can enable you to become an Elden God at the press of a key, but there is a cheat table that you can get which allows you to straight up modify parameters of spells, abilities, or character attributes on the fly. This means that you can customize something like the speed of a spell's projectile while playing the game. What I am saying is that with access to this, you can make your own modifications while in Elden Ring. This is probably old news to Souls veterans who have dipped their toe into the modding scene previously, but as someone who has never dived in before, this is a whole new crazy world of fun that blows my mind. The other notable utilities that I came across are two game randomizers that can turn a regular run absolutely on its head. These are the Elden Ring enemy and item randomizer and the summon randomizer. The enemy and item randomizer takes every enemy, boss, item, and even NPC equipment placement in the game and replaces it with a randomized new one. Depending on your luck, this can make the game easier, or in my case, replace Margit with the Beast Clergy. It's a rough time. With the summon randomizer, you can change the parameters for a few options and it changes your summons from the usual expected group to your very own ragtag group of underdogs. Click the randomize button, launch the game, run into battle and summon to see whether you are now protected by a massive boss or a little squirrel thing. This makes fights hilarious as you become either an Elden Ring Mafia boss or a low-level Pokemon trainer. Elden Ring is an absolute blast in its vanilla state. Navigating through the world and its many hazards is something that you can lose weeks of your time to. The mods on offer take this experience and run with it, adding layers to it previously unthinkable. While I mentioned quite a few mods in this video, there are so many that I did not get time to check out just because I would have never have made this video. If this piqued your interest at all, you absolutely need to jump into Nexus and grab some mods and start a new playthrough. You will not regret it. Thank you so much for watching, bloody appreciate you all. If you want to help out the channel, like, subscribe, share, or let me know in the comments what your ideal Elden Ring mod would be. Cheers.